Morning, my friends. This is Jean, your support coach and mentor signing on a Facebook Live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I'm so happy to have you here. For all those of you who listen later, hashtag replay. And our word for today is paradigm shift, the word that's going to impact you. What is paradigm shift and how would you possibly experience paradigm shift in your life? Paradigm shift, as I've said, is a fundamental change in approach or an underlying assumption. And so many times we talk about our limiting beliefs. In the circles our mentor talks about limiting beliefs. Every time we read something, it changes our perception. It changes the way we think. And sometimes, and if you're happy, I would say if you're fortunate, just because you need to be aligned to get some real breakthroughs, you will have some real breakthroughs in the way you think, the way you see yourself, the way you thought things were, and not necessarily they were always that way, right? You just need a different way of thinking on a different plane. I don't know if it makes sense. So when you were at plane A, some thoughts served you, but they're no longer the same when they're plane B because your way of viewing the world, the results that you're expecting, the end result, the relationship with people is different. Plane C is further different. The way you think at plane C is not the same you think at plane A. By plane A, I mean levels, right? So just higher levels of awareness, higher levels of vibration, higher levels of responsibility. And the more powerful you are, the more in tune with yourself you are, the more is your responsibility also. Sometimes it's not just a corporate responsibility. It's the more you know and achieve, even as in a volunteer organization, in a volunteer position, the more your responsibilities to yourself and to the people you lead. So paradigm shift, my friends, and when you have experienced it, you will know firsthand. Your levels of thinking and creating at different levels are different. And why? It just because you experience a fundamental approach in the underlying assumptions in each plane, right? In each circumstance. And as soon as you experience that fundamental shift, you're able to think differently and think on a different plane. Are you experiencing a paradigm shift? Are you on the verge of experiencing a paradigm shift? Are you on the verge of wanting change? If you're on the verge of wanting change, then you want to be in a group that's changing. You want to be in an environment that explores that change, that you want to be in an environment that encourages that change. You want to be with like minded people. For example, if you are at home, you will experience everything at home. You know, there are people, the kids, your parents, the way you cook. There's a whole different environment. Now, if you want an environment of another city, you will plan a tour, but it means you're physically moving, mentally moving from the environment of home to a different environment to talk differently about that city, about touring that city, about the facilities in that city. It means you're thinking differently. You cannot sit at home and say, you know what, from here, I'm going to experience everything the city has to offer. No, you might theoretically experience it, but to really, really experience that paradigm shift of, say, what it is to be a New Yorker or what it is to go to France, for example, you want to be immersed in that experience. And my friends, those things happen when you're ready to take on that paradigm shift. The word paradigm shift actually was introduced was a concept introduced by the American physicist and philosopher Thomas Kuhn. It's a fundamental change in the basic concepts and experimental practices in a scientific discipline. And he presented that in his book, The Structure of Scientific Revolution. So basically, that's where this whole concept started. But John Maxwell often talks about the 5 levels of leadership. He talks about the 5 levels of leadership, and you could be leading yourself, you could be leading your home, you could be leading your team, you could be leading your company, right? When you're doing any of these, you are able to move from one level of leadership to another when you experience the paradigm shift, when you experience that shift in the way of thinking. In the 5 levels of leadership, John talks about the ability to move from one level to another when you experience a paradigm shift. Quickly, What are the 5 levels of leadership? You are probably in one of those 5 levels of leadership, wherein the first time you're in leadership because somebody made you a leader, right? They elected you to the group leader, they elected you the youth group leader, they elected you the altar boy team of the altar boy service. You had no clue what you're doing, you were just pushed into the role, and suddenly you had to make collective decisions. In companies, you exhibited great qualities, especially when you're starting, and they put you on the first position of leadership. They appointed you a leader, they appointed you a manager. Now, often, if you take that designation and expect others to follow, they will, but sometimes they won't willingly because you expect them to. You're not making it worth it for them. You're not showing them why they should. When you move that, when you move to that why to show, wait a minute, I'm going to show you why you should follow me. It's just not my designation. By the very way I think, by the very way I be, I want you to know why you should follow me, right? I'm giving you my whys, giving you the whys for you to follow me. And that's when they see the whys, and then you give them the permission. They kind of give you the permission to lead. They say, you know what, we've been through different managers, leaders, you're one of the best, or you're the best, or we really think you're the best person for us to work under right now as a team, or you're the best person to lead us to transition. And I've been very, very fortunate to have excellent managers like that who truly led us through different transition times. So that's when they give you the permission. The team likes you, the people respect you, what you bring to the table, the qualities that you have gained through different roles, and they want to follow you, right? So that is the permission, when they give you the permission to be their leader. The production is when you are focused on then highly producing with you, your team, you're produced from A to. So initially, when you come, there is a lot of transition, there is a lot of change to be made, and you're grappling through the change, so you're not producing. And then you start having all ducks in a row. You're producing very well, and you're a high producer. You're valued in the team, or you're valued in the management team because you're a high producer, right? So production. And the fourth is people development. When you have to move, when you've done well, you've got a handle on production, you've got a handle on high performance, and then you have to move from production to people development, because if you want to sustain that, they're not going to be around all the time. You want to make sure that you train people in such a way so they sustain it for you. And the highest level is, of course, the pinnacle. But to move from A to B to C, and classic, John Maxwell has done such a great, has shared such great insights in his book, The 5 Levels of Leadership. I highly encourage you to look at it. He said you cannot move from one level to another without a huge paradigm shift, particularly in level 4, when you're moving from production. So you're used to doing things, getting your hands dirty. You're used to getting in the muddy waters and kind of, getting the results out, literally. Then when you have to have a hands-off approach, when you have the hands-off approach to develop the leaders and their potential, so they continue what you're doing and then continue to do more, that's when it gets the toughest. And that's when it is a truly paradigm shift, when you have to change the way of thinking to continue to bring the same or more results. My friends, hi, Lijo, and how are you? Hi, Alice, how are you? So if you are looking at a paradigm shift, I bring it down back to you to say, what in your life do you want to achieve? And this is a big question, my friends. Um, don't, I'm going to use a strong word here. Don't bullshit yourself. Don't lie to yourself. What change do you truly want? Have you heard of vision boards? Put it down. Put it down when you can see. Put it down when no one can see. Put your heart's desire. What change do you truly want? How can you bring about that change? So I jumped into the next question, but what change do you truly want in yourself, in your lifestyle? Put it down. Don't give yourself permission to say, do I expect it? Can I? No, that's for another time, another day. Put what you truly want down, how you want your schedule to look like, the kind of people you want to interact with. If you want to put assets, often when people talk about vision boarding, they talk about also assets and places. Sometimes it's not about the assets and place. Sometimes it's about a different schedule, a different set of people, a different set of mindset. Because to deal with different sets of people, You need a different mindset. To deal with continuously decision makers all the time, it needs a different mindset. To deal with employees or to be an employee all the time, that's a different mindset, right? So on your vision board, what are the kind of people you want to deal with all the time, right? What are the kind of instances? What are the kind of hours you want to keep? What would you love to do that you would constantly go out and do even in your sleep? And this is what John has said in his previous books. If it's something, even if you're woken in your sleep and you'd love to get up and do it, that's your passion. Hone that passion. So when you found your passion and you want to do that, that should be on your vision board. To achieve what's on your vision board, my friend, often invites or compels a change in thinking, and that's your paradigm shift. How are we going to work through this paradigm shift? That's a topic. That's a huge topic, but I want you to write that as a start to uh, our vision boarding experience and the coming sessions that we'll have on paradigm shift. So we'll have paradigm shift 1, 2, 3, and 4, simply to break down what is it you want, how does it look like, what are the elements of it, right? And what can you put in place to achieve, what kind of thought process and steps you can put in place to achieve the paradigm shift you want, right? So first of all, it's identifying that. I will leave that with you. This is Jean, your support coach and mentor, signing off on our Facebook Live. And I look forward to connecting with you tomorrow on another wonderful word. In the meantime, today is a golden word. I want you to um, play with it, love it, let it soak inside of you to say, what kind of, honestly, is paradigm shift possible, whichever level you are? And what does my new paradigm shift look like? That's part of your vision boarding process, my friends. What does your new paradigm shift look like? I will connect with you tomorrow. Hey, Liz, how are you? It's so good to see you. Liz, I've spoken a bit about paradigm shift today, and I encourage you to go through that. There's sun on my eyes, and hold on. There you go. Bye for now.